Hello, everyone. Today, myself and Vadym are excited to talk about intelligent and optimized testing technique with you guys. So, before we get started, let us step back and introduce ourselves. So, hi again. My name is Tosha. I work as a senior software engineer with FannieMae for past 4.5 years. So, before I joined Fannie, I was working as SDET with Newstar Ultra DNS team. During my career, I have used Java as my primary language and familiar with different patterns as well as the different automation practices. I have also exhausted different AWS services during my career. I have actually done my master's in wireless communication systems from England. I was working with Virgin Media after my master's and moved to United States in 2011. My hobbies are painting, baking, and I love spending time with my family and friends. So to have my colleague Vadym, he's presenting with me. So Vadym, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Tosha. Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, depending on which time zone you're at right now. My name is Vadym Kotliar, and I am, as well as Tosha, working in FannieMae as a senior software developer, supporting FannieMae's automation and SRE department initiatives. My main area of expertise is helping teams to achieve automation in such areas like testing, monitoring, and incident management. Currently, our main goal was around building different solutions that are focused on combining modern cloud services as well as AI integration to make our product more agile, faster, intelligent, and overall competitive and compliant with current market standards. And today, me and Tosha would like to talk to you about modern test automation solutions. And as you all know, market does not stay in one place, and test automation is definitely not exceptions of that. Some things that were sort of super cool, super new innovation that were defining market like 3+ years ago, today would be just an ordinary thing. And some of these cases like maybe even outdated. And before jumping directly to intelligence and optimization of your testing techniques, let me shortly tell you our FannieMae story on where did we start and how did we progress to the level where we at today. And in regards to the test automation, I can assure you that the maturity in testing approach did not happen overnight for us. And we had some bumps and challenges on our way, but we took them as a learning opportunity in our journey. And just to highlight that part, it is very important to you, your team, and your management to have a right set of mind when it comes to the innovation implementation. All projects can be different. Something that can be easily picked up by one team or project. Same thing can give you lots of roundarounds when implemented by other teams. And other key, and the key here is to take these situations not as a failure, but rather like your learn opportunities. Okay, without further ado, let me tell you our story. So 2016, our company started getting out of the waterfall model and started learning and implementing agile approach. Test-wise, the majority of the testing still performed manually with many repetitive tasks and long testing cycles. And when I say long, I mean it. Some of the test cycles were like taking up to several weeks to complete. By current SDLC model, those were like dark ages. Cannot even imagine something like that today, right? And at that point, most of the, we'll need to re-record that. And at that point, most of the testing was done manually just because the level of the automation and tool set for it simply did not have much trust from the business aside in order to start replacing manual testing efforts. And major pieces of this problem were things like where do we fit our automation testing in the newly adopted agile technology and how to improve and optimize our current tool set and the approach. Another big thing was actually lack of automation practice. So the scripting and tooling were just not in place. Also, we were missing community of the practice, since our company is big and hundreds of teams working on many different projects, all of them needed some place where they could share their best automation practices, as well as be able to help each other on solving existing problems. And our general company goal at that time was to figure out how do we deliver faster and deliver with better quality. And of course, for those that role was, what role was going automation to play in this whole scene. So these were our main areas of concern when the automation department was formed. And of course, the main task for us was to show management as well as development teams that with the right set of mind and resources, test automation is very capable of achieving those goals. And we started working hard towards those goals, and that's where we end up by the end of 2019. On this slide, you can see major achievements that our team were able to reach by the end of that year. So let me highlight a few of them. You can divide those achievements into pretty much two categories. First would be a mindset or the approaches. Second one is a tool set or the technology. On the toolset wise, we started to use Selenium in combination with Cucumber and Java that actually became one of the most popular in our company. We got Jira that, besides other cool things that it can do, made our test automation tracking much easier. We got Jenkins for continuous integration and building jobs for our test script execution. We also got Sauce Labs for remote testing, compatibility testing, and mobile testing, etc. And as you can see on this slide, many other tools that helped us in achieving our test automation goals. Regarding mindset, one of the major achievements was in upskilling SDETs to be a part of agile teams versus be a part of the shared services. In short words, in the beginning of our journey, all SDETs were part of the centralized automation team, and they were assigned to some particular project where they were doing some basic automation tests and then going back to automation team so that they can be reassigned to another project. But by the end of the 2019, pretty much every project had their own SDET as part of their agile team that was constantly working on the test requirements for the particular application, which drastically improved test coverage as well as maintainability of those test suites. So we completely adopted at that point, the agile and sprint practice and principles. And one of our biggest achievement was creation of core automation framework that allowed us to reduce duplication effort for individual teams. This started with only few utilities, but then it was made open source, which allowed it to grow significantly and be utilized by majority of the teams throughout the whole organization. And we provided lots of coaching and brown bag sessions for Agile, BDD, Cucumber, Java frameworks, etc., to all of our SDETs, who actually at that time already became indispensable resource for most delivery teams in our company. And that was a great success to achieve such progress when we were starting pretty much from the scratch and to expand all these initiatives to hundreds of teams and thousands of our colleagues. That was definitely a big win. But, there's always but. Even considering significant success that we had accomplished throughout those past years, we were now basically start having challenges that we faced when we reached that current state. So what happened is we started noticing some negative effects of having a lot of automation. It is actually very similar to the giraffe you can see on the slide. So giraffes are cool, right? And but when giraffe is fat, it is not that great anymore, right? It is still better than having that giraffe than not having giraffes at all. But at that point, it is already not a perfect scenario. And like to this poor giraffe, we started noticing similar trends in our automation. We did have a lot of automation, but this whole automation was kind of a lot. Test suites became very bulky. Debugging process around those suites became more complex and more time consuming. Tests were reviewed not as frequent as we wanted to, which led to creating lots of the test repetition. Random test failures due to long test execution timeframes. On the other side, we did have like CI integration for our tests, but they were not part of the code development. The core deployment process due to the above stated reasons, which definitely needed some improvement. So all these issues increase our time to market cycles and therefore a decrease over productivity of our tests. At this point, we knew that in order to further improve our testing, as well as to make it more autonomous and robust, we need to implement new set of tools and practices to achieve our target state for the test automation. And so after doing some research, we identified that these are going to be our three main focus area that would be our primary target. And those are, how do we introduce intelligence into our testing? How do we optimize our current frameworks? And of course, how do we shift left our testing efforts and processes? And in order to explain you on how we were able to achieve those goals, I'm giving it back to Tosha. Tosha?
Thank you, Vadym, for talking about our journey. So let me talk further into these three main areas. And here the points you see on this slide is the areas that we wanted to improve upon or work upon, right? So we started searching and debugging and start finding new solutions for these areas. Next slide, please. Now the question was, how do we bring intelligence into our automation testing? We need to find this problem as well as solution, right? So for introducing intelligence in our testing framework, we came across few tools, and one of them was C-Lights. It provided us some capability and feature that we were looking for. Now we were able to capture the code quality and coverage from all the way from unit tests, regression tests, automation tests, and exploratory tests, as well as manual tests. So, and not only we were able to capture the coverage individually, we were able to aggregate them and see what is the quality risk or aggregated coverage for your application or component, right? So that was a great achievement, and teams were able to see their real coverage. Then there was another area, like which may be pain point for a lot of teams, is the test duration. So how do you reduce the test duration? And we exhausted a bunch of different options to do this, like them being test parallelization, improving the frameworks, and all those stuff. So one of the solution we found with this tool was to use a dynamic autonomous test execution. So this is one of the C-Lights feature, and it's also called test impact analytics. So basically it uses a machine learning and maps the test with the corresponding method. So when you make changes to your method, it knows that which tests are impacted. So in one line, it will only execute tests that are associated with the code that was updated. So, and we saw that this approach significantly improved the test cycle time in our CI/CD pipeline. So, and not only that, so you could still continue running your nightly full run so that you don't overlook any other tests which are not impacted and which might start failing for some other reasons, right? So you could still configure that. So, and this dynamic test usage made our development hours much faster. Another very useful feature was the production insight. So what this is, there is an agent which is very lightweight. It sits in your production boxes or production like boxes, like if you have any integration user, for example, right? And it provides the customer usage pattern, which allowed us to clean up any unused feature or prioritize any existing functionality and stuff like that. Or if you wanted to rewrite the application, this was a great feature and intelligence that we brought for our automation. Next slide, please. All right, so when we talk about test optimization, there are two things involved, right? One is the speed and agility, other one is test maturity. Here in this slide, we have listed few tool set, as you see, from going in a circle, like half circle. But we'll start from speed and agility and go over each of them and what they are and what do they do and how do we use them in FannieMae. So let's start with MBT. So one, we wanted our test more robust, faster, as well as simpler. So model-based testing helped us to attain this for sure. So we use a third-party tool called Conformic. The way we use this tool was like we took a Swagger UI or an UI or REST API as an input to the model generator, and it generated a model based on your different scenarios that you feed in, right? And from that model, it could generate the script of the language of your preference. Like we were using Java with Fin client, it It allowed us to do that. So it generated that script, and that script you could take back to your automation framework and put it in there and run it from anywhere you like local Jenkins CI/CD pipeline. So that significantly reduce, optimize the test, ran the test faster, development time was less, and it also made business understand more, like more test scenarios, right? Because it was based on the models and stuff like that. Another area was the visual testing. So you must be wondering, like, why do we have visual testing in the speed and agility, not in test maturity? Because so when we started to do visual testing a couple of years back, so initially we were just targeting it for strictly visual aspects and cross environments, right? But we started seeing there are some functional area that we could cover with this tool, and it we saw really positive impacts. Like we saw that maintenance of the core and stability of test was much better. Like and because it eliminates a lot of coding, it checks whole page, right? It eliminates a lot of coding, so you could save a lot of time as well, your development time. And then if there are tests failing, it's very easy to go back and verify what's going on, and anyone from your team can go and do that from the dashboard. Like it doesn't need any developer or estate to do this. Then let's move to the local stack. So local stack helped us improve our test coverage by mocking AWS service. So in big company like ours, provisioning a AWS service needs multiple approvals, but this one can spin up locally. So local stack allow us drastically decrease time to provision our cloud services. So it was really helpful for some of the teams. Like coming to the data testing framework. So data testing framework, this framework is like our kid. This is a fully homegrown tool. So data testing framework is a Python-based data testing application. It is developed to compare two data sets and provide the detailed result, the difference between these two sets. So it's very similar to ETL, but it has extended to do a lot more based on the requirement from different teams, right? This tool has the execution framework to prepare data for your testing, and you can directly use it, use their backend service, or it also has a front end, right? And we have over 1,000 users who uses this tool. It's one of the very popular tools in FannieMae. And let's move to automation core, right? So automation core, Vadym already talked about it, right? That's something we started building in 2017. But as we moved further, like we needed to make some updates to the new version utility, that new utility found, and this became this was open source. So anyone from any of the team, they actually made some improvements in this tool. And as we moved towards the cloud in 2019, the FannieMae, we started moving more towards cloud. So we kept on expanding this utility, and this become a one-stop shop for a variety of AWS related utility as well. So a lot of team is utilizing this tool for both on-prem as well as AWS. So now let's move towards maturity of our test optimization. So let's start with report portal. So report portal, like some teams in FannieMae, there was a need to consolidate an elaborated reporting, right? And they came across the report portal. So report portal is a service that provides a live test result and analysis. It can be for if you have multiple results for your application or components. It consolidates everything in one place. And it has a built-in analytical feature, right? So it will do a lot of things on its own as well. It is a great addition to our CI. It was a great addition to our CI/CD process. This tool is also based in artificial intelligence. It supports integration with tool like Jira, Rally, Sauce Labs, or different test framework that we are using in FannieMae. And this is again an open source as well, so anyone can go and set this up for their infrastructure. Then let's talk about pact. So a pact is a contract between a consumer and a provider. So pact another meaning is contract only, right? So a contract between consumer, for example, a client that wants to receive some data, and a provider, for example, an API server that provides the data to the client needs. So pact is a code first consumer driven contract testing tool. It's the contract is written by consumer, right? So consumer says what they want in the contract, and the provider will test against that contract to make sure that it's all validated. If something is not matching, it will fail in contract, right? So that's how we'll know. So contract has to be in some place, shareable place. So you can either store it in S3, in some repo, or there is a service called Pact Broker. You can store it there as well. It's again an open source tool. You could host Pact Broker in your infrastructure and use the dependency for the consumer and providers in your test to configure this testing. Now, let's move to the testing pyramid. I mean, you must be wondering, why do we have testing pyramid in here, right? Testing pyramid is nothing new, right? This is something we've been talking about since past 4 years, but with any new tool set that we revised, test pyramid, we have revised the test pyramid every time, right? Based on how much time it's taking for adoption or practice of the tool. And this has been utilized to capture the maturity of the team, like how mature the team is in their automation practice, right? So that's why we have placed that here as well. And the last section is the F2T. So it is again, it's called feature to test. So it's written on top of X-Ray Jira APIs. This is also homegrown. This is designed to audit or attach automation script with the current sprint or stories that you are working on, right? So this has been a great tracking tool for the teams to identify any test failures or evidence of any tickets that you're working on. And if you want to look at your test plan and see how many tests were run for each of your features or stories, this is a great way all the release managers are tracking. So it's been very helpful to do that for them. Next slide, please. All right, so shift left. So we've been talking about shift left as well, since always, right? Whenever it comes for testing, so it says test early and all, which is more obvious. But when we became more mature, we found there were some gaps we need to fill in our testing approach. So we set ourselves a new set of goals for shift left. One of the main one was the test in isolation. So, you will normally isolate yourself when you're sick, especially in this COVID situation, everyone would do that. But here, what was the main sickness or enemy? It was the nested mocks, like your mock calling another mock. I mean, this is not real test. You will get coverage, yes, but it's not true test. To overcome this, we use something like contract testing that I already talked about, containerized testing, like infrastructure as code, stuff like that to not use the nested mocks. Also, like TDD and BDD, we've been talking about this for a few years, but it's been a proven pillars for shift left. You definitely, and we have a lot of success stories in FannieMae who has utilized this, and they have been a great successful team, an example for the others who have not. And not only identifying test gaps at unit level or pull request, our teams have also started running performance tests, resiliency tests, security tests at the unit level before even code is deployed. So which has helped find the defect much faster in these areas and made them a lot more mature in terms of different coverage, right? They are covering all these aspects very early. And so, I mean, in general, if you look at the shift left, it's a huge subject. This requires change in mindset. There is not only one solution. There can be a different solution. Something might work from different teams, right? Depending on how the application is and what you're looking for, right? Next slide, please. So here we have like put together as architecture and just tool set what we are utilizing, right? So here you see we are using SauceLab very widely. Like we have over 700 users for Sauce Labs. We also use visual testing, applet tools for visual testing, but we are also evaluating the SauceLab visual capability right now. We are using C-Light. So that's the one I was talking about when it comes for coverage, testing the coverage across different test stages, as well as running the DATE, right? The dynamic autonomous test execution. Then data testing framework, right? So that is the one which is doing the data comparison like ETL. Then packed broker, which is the one for like not like avoiding the nested mocks, right? So MBT is the model-based testing. So we use Confirmic for that. And then local stack, we only use this for like databases as of now, but we are planning to extend it a little more. Parting thoughts, like continuous change is very important for success. If you are seeing something that is not working, please do retrospective and move ahead. Like along with the project work, like innovation is also a key. Like enable your team to do more innovations. Like that has helped FannieMae a lot. Also, always share your idea with community. Like some of these tool set that we talked about today, it didn't come from the COP teams, right? It came from other teams and which was dissolved in COP and then became part of enterprise so that anyone across the FannieMae can share this. So by doing that, you're not only helping teams, but you're also opening up other avenue or idea, like getting comments or positive criticism from from any team when you are sharing that. So also plan in advance. Don't assume things like when you are doing something, and challenge as existing systems. And also be prepared to fail, like when you are doing something, like challenging something and trying to do something new. And for all this aspect, like testing early plays a key role here as well. And everyone, this thing has helped FannieMae a lot, is everyone should have a testing mindset. Like we had separate roles for tester and developers initially, but we trained everyone to be developer as well as tester. So, and this helped us to deliver a bug-free application faster, as well as it empowered whole team to be a part of the delivery. So they feel like everyone is a contributor for what is out there, right? So here is what we had to share from FannieMae side today. Please let us know if you have any questions or answers.